So I really don't even know if I'm gonna be posting this video or not. I'm just filming it for right now, but a lot of leaks have come out from. I have a hair in my mouth from Turtle Wow, the supposed hacker of Turtle Wow. Now I'm gonna say this up front. I don't know if any of this is real. Okay, it looks like it is, but for the sake of it, we're gonna say we don't know if this is actually real or not. But for the sake of argument, let's pretend that it is real. The hacker posted a big text file, which I kind of highlighted the important parts because a big chunk of it is him going through the history of private servers, and then some of it is talking about Turtle Wow specifically and why he's doing it, which more or less is to prove a point about something rather than to spread out like personal information of players. So I don't think that's going to be happening. Another thing is that he posted a ton of like the source code supposedly. Again, I don't know if any of this is real. I saw screenshots, but screenshots can be doctored, okay? I'm saying all this out loud because again, we don't know if this is actually true or not. So screenshots can be doctored, source code or files or whatever can look fake. For the sake of argument, let's say it actually happened because I want to go through what the guy says, and then if some of the things that he posted are DMs or at least not or at least like the chat of the developers of Turtle Well. I'm not going to go through all of them. There's just one or two things in particular that I kind of want to talk about because it's kind of worrying from the development side of Turtle Wow. Most of it is a nothing burger, okay? If the screenshots are real, if the texts are real, most of it is nothing. I'll breeze through that. And I'm not going to show the actual text messages. I have bulletin points that I made for myself, but I will show you the hacker's note, which is this right here. So I just highlighted the important parts because all of this middle section here is literally just a history lesson of private servers. So he basically says, included in this file that he posted, he has the full source code, all branches, logins, screenshots of internal chat, which is what I read. I am not going to be showing any of this source code. I took a look at it and I just kind of turned it off. I'm not going to post any of that stuff because that's just disgusting. He then says here, source code has been modified and I cannot pronounce that word. Obfuscated. I cannot pronounce that word. I'm sorry. Backdoor are endless. No matter how much restructuring, logs, parsing, it's too late. I'm woven in the fabric. As well, I had full access to the forums for many months, which allowed me to edit the main turtle download link. Do with that as you will. There is more that I'm going to hold back. No doxing material. If anything, if I missed anything, I'll make a post here. And then this is basically a quickie of why he did it. He basically says, don't forget, security is an important part of development. As a consumer, you care what their code looks like or you don't care what it looks like until it matters. Why do billion-dollar companies take years to redevelop an existing product, such as Classic WoW, for reasons like this? Not quite true, I'm going to say. They redeveloped it because it was coming from a different, it was coming from like a Legion client or a Legion core rather than a vanilla core. That's why it took them forever because it's not been done before. But regardless, they're liable for your security. Small companies like Turtle cannot be held liable. They do not care and only exist to pump out content as fast as possible, which sounds awesome until something like this happens. A company that pockets all of its profit without investing it in security deserves what it gets. I'm not convinced on that, but I'll get to that in a second. Think about that when you go to run their Unreal client directly on your phones and PCs. Okay, so let's stop there for that second because we'll get to the end of it in a second. God, I can't get these freaking hairs out of my mouth. Sorry. Anyway, so I was doing crafts with fake fur, so it's getting everywhere. So what he says there, now he is correct about smaller companies can't really be held liable, especially something like this. How can you sue, for an example, Turtle Wow? You know, it's that's kind of impossible, especially if you're cross countries, nationwide. Like, there's people from all over the world. You can't really sue somebody outside of your country. You kind of can, but it's really impossible to do. Or it's just he's right about that aspect, right? Now, in terms of, again, I kind of said this before, of why do they take so long to redevelop classic WoW? Well, I already said that. It's because they were completely doing it from the ground up using a Legion core and having to, like, downport everything and make sure all, like, that's why it took so long. It wasn't the fact that they had security, which they do have pretty good security considering it is a billion-dollar company, but that's not why it took so long. And even then, unrelated to the hacker guy, uh, I've been seeing tons of comments on my previous video covering the hack when it was happening of a guy who basically, paraphrasing, said, "This is why you don't play private servers from third world countries with no laws against copyright." Uh, First of all, people, even big first world country companies can be hacked. They have been hacked. We've seen it happen in the last week or two of large companies in first world countries being hacked, okay? Second of all, Blizzard themselves have been hacked down to, like, uh, breaches in data. Like, it's not just, oh, it's being DDoSed again. No, they've actually had internal database hacked several times, one of which you can look up, happened in 2012. That's a source right there. You can look it up. It happened. So, it's not that Blizzard is impervious. No one is impervious. Can you have better defense? Of course you can. And then as for this claim of Turtle WoW not putting it back into the server, I mean, I don't know where they are putting it into now. They might not be putting it as much into security as they should be. That could be the case, but I doubt that they're not at all putting it into security or just pocketing it. We obviously see that they are paying their developers, paying support staff to create stuff within the game and to help it move along. We don't know to the extent, obviously, those numbers are not going to be published, but we know it's obviously happening. We know that they're funding people to create custom stuff for the server, and we know that they're going towards the server hosting. That is expensive. I already made a video on, it was more toward Azeroth at War, that server, but it was to cover all private servers in general. I'll get to that point in a moment because we're going to touch back on that when we get to the leaks of the chat, okay? So let's finish up what this guy says real quick. Don't forget that their entire product is developed off the back of an open source product, none of whose code has been put back as open source until now, because he supposedly published all the stuff. Again, I don't really want to look into that or publish that or any of that, so I don't know if it's true, and if it is, I really don't care, okay? Again, it's just, who cares if somebody else posts up the exact same client as Turtle WoW? It doesn't really fucking matter. The only thing that really matters is people's real-life information getting out. That's the only thing that actually matters. Turtle WoW might be pissed off that their code is out, but again, like, no one really is going to matter. If somebody else posts up the exact same server, are people really going to trust that server? I mean, people already don't trust Turtle WoW. I don't think it's going to make a difference either way. What I'm trying to say is, I don't think this is going to harm Turtle WoW whatsoever, even though it might piss off Turtle a little bit. Nothing is going to really change in terms of player count here. And then the last thing this guy mentions, which I think is a nothing burger, is he says, I notice a very strong connection to Everlook. To the point that Everlook staff are joining their vacation plans, despite not being in active employment there. blah, 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 blah. Didn't see the connection with any other server. They share a lot of their code bases too. Maybe a next target. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so there you go. I'm gonna let you see that big bold letters right there. So, Everlook WoW is next, apparently. Supposedly, according to this hacker guy. So, yeah, I really don't give a fuck if two developing teams take vacation at the same time. I don't give a fuck if they're helping each other develop. They could be which one of the things that's supposedly damning is that Turtle WoW developers are helping Everlook develop a store for donation points and stuff. Who the fuck cares? You know what? People within communities help people in that community. They are both two different teams, but they're both part of the private server community. If they decide to help each other out, that's completely up to them. That's fine. I don't see anything malicious about that. I've seen developers of Duskhaven help out people in Azeroth at war. I see Wall from Wallcraft talking and helping Keynets in World of RuneScape. They're all part of the same community. They're all in the same Discords. They help each other out. That's what happens if they decide to be a bit buddy-buddy and go on vacation at the same time. Who the fuck cares? Honestly, how is that any way damning to Turtle in itself? Like, I really don't get what the guy was trying to prove with that. Again, most of what he said is a major nothing burger. Some of it I can understand, like the security. Are they putting money back into the security? Are you going to trust them when they're not doing that? Completely valid points. Again, we don't know the extent of how much they are doing it, so that is a valid point. But the rest of what he said is kind of bullshit. Anyway, now, like I said, all the other stuff that they leaked out, I'm not even going to bother with that. Now, I did look at these leaked DMs from the internal Turtle WoW Discord server. Now, most of it is, we don't need to get into it. It's them, talking about their Turtle WoW video being taken down, the one with the Unreal Engine. It's that video being taken down, so they're talking about it behind the scenes. Whatever, I don't care. It was possible that a lot of these leaks happened because one of the I don't know who the person is. I don't know if they're a developer, if they're a chat manager. I don't know who they are, but it's possible that somebody internally, their Discord account was hacked. So they have a new account and they threw away all their old hardware. They got new hardware. So, whatever. Okay, so people being hacked happens. It happens. So a lot of this stuff, again, oops. There we go. A lot of the stuff that they were talking about behind the scenes really doesn't matter, but a couple of things popped out at me that are a bit worrying. One of them in particular is kind of worrying, but it's more of a we're talking about possibly doing it. Whether they actually do it or go through with it remain to be seen, because it looks like there was pushback to this idea. Now let's get into it. So here's my little bulletin, all right? I'm not going to be showing you the actual DMs. So there was claim that they boosted the Unreal 5 video. Now, that one is more of a... because that video in itself was getting a lot of attention. They may have boosted it, okay? They may have boosted that video, but even without the boost, we know it was getting a lot of attention because you had other YouTubers who cover retail WoW, like Nixium, like Belluar Gaming. I don't know if Alkalon looked at it. Definitely Asmongold. All those people I mentioned, they all at least showed it on their videos, on their streams. So if those guys are looking at it, talking about it, covering it, you know it's big, okay? So everybody was talking about it to the point that it's gotten Blizzard's ire and it got taken down, okay? So the fact that it's boosted, I don't really care because so many people were talking about it. If Asmongold reacted to it, just him alone, set aside Belluar, set aside Nixium, set aside the other people. Asmongold alone, if he looked at it, you already know. Let's say just a percentage of his fan base, that could be 10,000 people. That's a lot of people. That already alone would give it enough views to already throw it into the algorithm to reach more people. Hell, I didn't even know about most of these private servers until I just randomly saw a trailer because it was hitting the algorithm well. So it happens. So I don't care. Besides that, sorry, I'm just reading this real quick. So the next, I'm gonna combine these, and it's two things, but I'm gonna combine them into one. There's an issue with their Chinese servers, and there's an issue about money and monetization, which might lead to some issues, and this is what I'm talking about. So, going back to what I said earlier about I made a video about this already, and I mentioned that already. I do not mind private servers monetizing the server, whether it's through a shop, whether it's through donations. I would prefer not a subscription. They would really have to offer something to warrant people wanting to pay a sub. If it's like an optional sub, like how RuneScape does it or something, okay. But the reason why it's okay to monetize, as long as there's no pay to win stuff, right? You're not paying for tier 3 gear. You're not paying for a boost. As long as it's nothing hard like that, it's okay because server costs alone are expensive. And the example I gave with the video I talked about monetization was Conan Exiles, for an example. And this happens with Ark Survival Evolved. This happens with all these multiplayer games. Hosting a server for just Conan Exiles, if you want like 500 to 1,000 players, which is already a lot. I mean, servers can't fucking handle that. I've been on servers with more than 70 people. They cannot handle it. Either way, if you wanted a server that could host 500 to 1,000 players, you're paying $500 to $1,000 or more a month. Okay? And that's just a Conan Exile server, 1,000 players once a month. Now, World of Warcraft servers are a little bit different depending on who you host with. For an example, I did get hard numbers from one server where I don't know what the cap of players allowed, probably about 10,000, maybe, I don't know, but the head developer told me to host one server was going to cost him $300 a month. Now, and that's, I think, on the low end of hosting a World of Warcraft private server. But still, $300 a month. You're going to need a lot of donation, a lot of store-bought stuff just to cover server costs alone. And then on top of that, these servers, if they're not doing it in-house, they're commissioning out. So how much does an artist or a code developer or somebody charge for their work? $100, $200, $300. Hell, just for doing a couple of loading screens for a for Azeroth at War, I think I got paid like $100 or more. I don't even remember. That was like a year ago, but still, it gets expensive and those prices rack up. And I believe one of the private servers, I don't remember who, but they actually post how much it costs to develop. I think it was Revelation WoW that they posted how much everything costed for them to get it all done. So, with that being said, there is an issue with money on the Turtle WoW team. Now, one of the head developers says that it's a lot of this issue is going into the Chinese servers. Remember, they have two EU servers, a PvE and a PvP, and they have two Chinese servers hosted in Oceanic. And according to the chat, he says that the Chinese servers alone costs them $15,000 a month to host. That's a lot of fucking money, dude. So, and that's just the Chinese servers. So that on top of the EU servers, which I expect the Chinese are more expensive because of the oceanic hosting, but I don't know for sure. All we know is he mentioned 15,000 a month for just those two servers. It could be per server. I read it as multiple, but anyway. Because money is an issue right now, and again, just for those 15 who know, it could, let's just, for argument's sake, say 20,000 for all of the servers. They can't pay for that. Who the fuck can pay $20,000 a month, right? The money intake that they're getting from the EU side, from their store-bought stuff, from donation points, is just enough to pay their EU staff. So, because of this, according to these DMs, which again could be fabricated, could be fake, but according to this, they're going to have to do a lot of cost cuts, which makes sense. That's a realistic take to have. A couple of the examples they said were no side projects. Fair enough. You can't pay for it. Making stuff in-house if they can, instead of paying off somebody else to do it. Again, realistic, makes sense. I agree. That's fine. I do a lot of my stuff in-house because I can't fucking pay for shit, so I'll do it myself, right? That's completely logical. Now, that was logical. What I saw, which again, this is the, we're talking about possibly doing it. We don't know if it's going to go through. And this is the part that's going to piss a lot of people off if this does go through, was it looks like one of the developers, one of the head developers rather, wants to put favoritism to the Chinese servers. That he wants, it kind of got a little bit racist there. He kind of said, make a bunch of panda quests, give them a bunch of custom music, stuff like that, just to keep them playing, because according to them, the Chinese team to help with those servers are rioting. They're not posting announcements, not answering tickets, which are pissing off a lot of the players, causing them to leave. One of the developers asks this head developer to be transparent with the numbers to the fans, to let them know what's happening and to see if we can come up with something to help out. Unfortunately, a different head developer tells them no, they do not wish to publish the numbers of how much it costs to run a server. So, that's not going to happen. Somebody did suggest that it's possible, not confirmed, but possible, they might add subscriptions to the game. Again, that's a bit, that's kind of like a 70-30 for me. 70% don't want, 30% depends. I'll talk about that in a second. But, the last bulletin that I wrote here was that a different developer says they should not really be worrying about China because they are not loyal enough to stay, and if they leave, they leave. They should instead focus on getting the new patch out and building up the EU. That's paraphrasing because he didn't actually say that part, but building up the EU, because he does say that the EU servers are growing fairly big. So, he is right, because Turtle WoW is growing fairly big. For a while, it was so big that that's the reason why they had to make other servers, and that's probably why their cost is going up. Now, I'm going to be saying a lot of stuff that in practicality might not work. I'm just going to spitball my ideas here. So any Turtle WoW people listening, I'm just spitballing ideas here. You don't have to listen to me if you don't want to. You can listen to me if you want to. It might not be practical. It might be, but you just don't want to do it. I don't know. Don't care. These are just my ideas. look, the one guy who claimed you should be focusing more on EU is correct. The EU, the North America, even a little bit of South America, those are the ones who have been with you since the beginning. They are loyal to you. They will be with you until the end. Same with the role players. You kind of cut out on a little bit of the roleplay aspect of the roleplay server, and it already has kind of made the role players mad, but you know what? Turtle WoW is fun. We'll get over it. We can still roleplay. Doesn't really bother us too much other than the no player housing stuff anymore. But hey, that'll be fixed in the new update, right? In the Unreal Engine 5 update. Whatever. The Chinese, I really think that somebody in China should host a Chinese server. Not hosting it in China, obviously hosting it in the oceanic area, but they really need to make their own goddamn servers. I don't know what is it with Chinese players hopping on EU servers because they can't find a server to play for themselves. I mean, I completely understand, hey, we don't have a server for us to play on. Okay, so why are you invading EU servers? Make your own. Host it in Oceanic. A lot of you, it's been proven that a fucking ton of Chinese people, especially the gamers and everything, have VPNs. Y'all can figure it out. So, I really don't know why you should cater to the Chinese in the first place. According to you, it's all about the money. You need all the money from China in order to host their servers and to pay for stuff. But that also leads to the argument of, if there were no Chinese servers, you, according to these DMs, claimed that's $15,000 a month that you would not have to be paying if you didn't have those servers. It's gonna piss them off. It's gonna make them leave. But without that cost, why do you need that income? Kind of see what I'm saying here? You need the income from them to pay for them to be there. So if you don't have them there, don't have the server, that kind of equals it out. Now, some of those people might stay on into the EU servers. The rest of them are probably going to fuck off. The EU servers are growing, and that's what you need to be focusing on. You are EU-based. Your head developers are from the EU. Focus on them. Give them reasons to pay for more stuff in the shop. If you want to make a subscription, I would say the best way to do it without causing people to leave is to not cut off any of the gameplay. Don't cut off the world, don't cut off quests or dungeons from a subscription. Instead, say, if you subscribe to us for $5 a month, maybe you can have tiers, maybe you can pay for 5 or maybe for 10 or whatever, pay at 15, and the higher tier you go, instead award a minimal amount of donation points. The longer you stay, the more donation points, and eventually people can use those to buy stuff on their store. But it's a more steady source of income rather than, hey, I feel like paying for this now, and then a year later, okay, maybe I'll buy this now. You know what I mean? So your more hardcore players, it'd be like a patron would pay you monthly to pay to get those donation points to, in a short amount of time, say, hey, I got like 200 points, or not 200, but let's say 2,000 points racked up, I can buy a mount, you know what I mean? So, there are ways to do it without pissing people off and to incentivize people to pay more for your server if the costs are really that drastic. And again, I completely understand cutting costs. I completely understand it because, I have to do it myself. Everybody has to budget. So, again, this video is gone on too long now. I'm kind of going in circles, but it doesn't look like the hack itself is really going to be hurting Turtle WoW. Most of it was him proving a point about security, which, point taken, alright? And again, not everybody's perfect. Even Blizzard has been hacked. Other companies have been hacked, okay? AT&T has been hacked. It happens. All we can do is move forward from it. Turtle WoW will have to invest in better security. and make sure it doesn't happen again. And that's just learning from your errors, and that's good. It's not good that they got hacked, but it's good that they learn from it and continue on. Don't let it bother them. People are still going to play Turtle WoW. It's going to grow. The hack, all this kind of stuff is just good karma for them to be building up their server. I'm still going to be playing it. My friends are still going to be playing it. Everyone's still going to be playing it. Hell, even Alex Sensual is still going to be playing it. I don't agree with his opinion of supposedly blaming a other private server developer. I don't agree with that, but that's a different issue that I don't really plan on getting into. So, for now, I hope this was a bit informative as to the hacker just being a shit poster, but also some worrying issues coming out of the Turtle WoW side. But again, none of it is confirmed that they're actually doing anything. It's just them talking. And maybe feedback can get to them from these leaks, if they are real, that they don't have to go down the dark path, and there are alternative ways that will help them, get them on their feet, get them back up again, but will still appease the players and even get players on their side to help them. Alright? So, until then, I will see you guys next time, possibly Monday, for a Revelation WoW beta video, closed beta. So very few people are going to be streaming it. So if you want to see what's actually going to be in the server, make sure you tune in then. See ya.